and welcome to another Ocean Twilight Zone art tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how I draw and paint a lanternfish or Myctophid. I also posted a time-lapse version of me drawing and painting this fish, which you can find linked below. You will need watercolor paper, a pencil, a larger paintbrush, a smaller paintbrush, and a fine tip marker or a pen. Black, blue, green, and white watercolor paint, something to use as a painting palette, and something to hold water. So I'm going to start out by roughly drawing a circle to the left side of my paper. Then I'm going to draw a horizontal line through the center of the circle and extend it far past the edge of the circle. Now add a rectangle to the far right of that line. Then I'm going to connect the circle to the rectangle with two curving lines. I'm going to draw a sort of trapezoid shape on the side of the rectangle. This will form the fish's caudal fin. I'm going to make the circle sort of pointed to form the fish's snout. I'm going to add the dorsal fin by drawing a triangle on the fish's back, and then make sort of a squished almond shape to draw the fish's pectoral fin. I'm going to draw the fish's operculum or gill cover on the side of that circle. Lanternfish often have massive eyes compared to their body size, so I'm going to draw a pretty large circle inside the head and then draw another circle within it to make a donut shape. I'll draw the fish's mouth. And then draw the edge of the eye that's sort of coming up over the other side of the head. And just add a little bit more detail to the eye with the crescent shape. I'm going to draw a line along the fish's back. This will sort of help differentiate the lighter and darker portions of the fish. I'm going to come in onto the caudal fin and make a wide V shape. Now I'm going to draw some of the fish's photophores by making small circles along its side. Photophores are very cool light-emitting organs that lanternfishes often use to camouflage from predators. It seems sort of counterintuitive that an animal would use light to camouflage, but just imagine swimming underwater and looking up at a fish or anything drifting above you, and it looks like a dark silhouette. But what lanternfish and many other Ocean Twilight Zone organisms do is what's called counter-illumination. They use photophores on their bellies or ventral side to emit light that counteracts their shadow and actually sort of makes them more invisible in the backdrop of the lighter surface. It's a pretty cool adaptation, I think. I'm just going to add some more lines to the head to sort of help us think about how the head of the fish is a reflective surface and how it will reflect light given its like three-dimensional properties. Now I'm going to add the fish's scales. So the way I'm doing this is kind of making a row of little semicircles, and then in between the two circles that are touching each other, like to the right of them, just making another circle that sort of looks like it's being overlapped by them. So it gives the effect of like overlapping scales that go along the entire fish's body. I really like drawing scales. It feels sort of meditative to me because it's so repetitive but also really satisfying. going to block in the fin rays with some quick strokes. When drawing straight lines like this, I think it's helpful to sort of use your wrist as a pivot point and almost like flick up with the wrist to sort of make a nice sharp straight line. When I try to draw a straight line like slowly and carefully, I often find that it just looks all wobbly and like sad, so I think a quick, confident stroke is best. I'm going to go back in and sort of re-emphasize that line along the back I drew before. I'm going to grab my black and blue paint. I'm going to get some water on my larger brush. And I'm going to make sort of a mixture of blue and black paint, but with more black, and put a bit of water in there and apply that to the top of the fish, but not crossing over that line we drew. I'm going to bring this kind of over to the back of the fish as well, right at the base of the caudal fin. Now I'm going to add some more water to my brush, so using the same color but just more watered down, I'm going to paint in most of the rest of the fish with sort of a light gray color. But I'm going to leave a small strip unpainted just below the darker black area, and that's where we'll have our highlights. To look like sort of little reflective spots of light, I'm going to put little gray lines along that unpainted line, and that sort of gives the effect of a textured, reflective surface. Lanternfish, or Myctophids, undergo diel-vertical migration, which means that they inhabit much deeper waters during the day, but at night they will come closer to the surface to feed. The fish probably stay deep during the day to protect themselves from predators, since it's a lot harder to see down in the deep waters of the Ocean Twilight Zone. In fact, there are so many marine organisms that undergo diel-vertical migration. They create a so-called false bottom when viewed by sonar on boats. Swim bladders in fish reflect sonar similarly to the bottom of the ocean. People at sea were puzzled when, at night, the bottom of the ocean would migrate close to the surface, and then during the day would go back down to the depths. I'm going to grab some more blue paint on my brush and fill in that crescent moon shape above the eye. I'm going to carry some of that blue up onto the head, and you see my paper is still a little bit wet from painting it before, so it sort of blends right in. And just adding a little bit more blue around the side of the operculum. And along the belly. I'm going to grab some more water on my brush, but still with the blue color, and fill in that outer circle. I am now going to grab my green paint and make a nice mixture of green and blue with a good bit of water. And I'm going to apply that right into that inner circle. I'm going to touch up the side of the fish with some gray streaks to just give it a little bit more dimension. I'm going to grab my smaller brush now and get some blue paint and touch up the eye by extending that crescent shape sort of down and around the outer circle. And then adding a little bit of dark blue around the inner circle. I'm going to grab my white paint. And with my small brush again, I'm going to add some saturated white along that line that differentiates the dark and light parts of the fish. And this is going to make the scales look really reflective and really make your painting kind of stand out and look like it's coming out of the page at you. So this white is very saturated, not a lot of water. I really want it to stand out and be quite opaque and not translucent. I'm just going to sort of make little swooping scale-like shapes along that line to make it look like the scales themselves are reflecting light. I'm going to add some white to the eye. I'm going to be tweaking this eye for quite a while, so with painting and drawing, it's a lot of just like sort of pushing and pulling the colors and tweaking the light and shadows. So I'm going to grab a little bit more dark blue paint and put it around the inner circle. I'm going to take that same dark blue and emphasize the edges of the operculum and the side of the face. And then once my brush doesn't have a lot of paint on it anymore, so it's sort of dry, I'm going to sort of roughly add some texture to the fish's cheek. So when your brush is very dry, it has a very different effect than if it has a lot of water on it. It'll have sort of more of a, I don't know really how to describe it, like a fuzzy look to it almost. It won't be as crisp. So I think that gives it a cool texture. And I'm going to add a little more bright white to the fish's upper jaw to make it look reflective. And again, tweaking the eye with some white. And then add some white to the fins. I'm going to take some very saturated opaque white again and fill in the photophores. just touching up the fins a little more. I'm now going to take some green paint on my brush, so no blue, just bright green, and add some green spots to the top of the fish. In the reference image I was using, it almost looked like the fish has an iridescent reflection off the top of its back, and that reflection was sort of a greenish color. I'm going to take some dark bluish gray, so a similar color we used on the back of the fish, and outline the photophores. You don't want this outline to be super crisp. You want it to be sort of faded into the rest of the body of the fish and sort of rough on the edges. And after outlining all of the photophores, I'm going to darken the underside of the fish while still keeping the photophores white. Add a little more white to the eye. I just wanted some more defined reflective spots. And I'm going to add a little bit of dark blue to the other eye that's coming over the head to sort of crisp up that line. Now I'm going to grab my black fine tip marker and crisp up the outlines of the fish. This is not a necessary step, and honestly, sometimes when I outline my paintings, I wish I didn't. Because I'm like, oh no, it looked so good before, and now I couldn't outline it, and I ruined it. But I don't know, sometimes it really pulls it together as an image, and sort of helps it be more cohesive with itself. I'm going to add some black ink around the eye. I think that really helped the eye stand out. And I'm going to define the fin rays with the marker as well. Again, I'm using that sort of quick wrist flick technique to get these straight lines, because especially with a marker like this, that if you press too hard, the line will get really sort of blotchy and thick. You want it to be like a nice sharp quick stroke to get a nice thin line. I'm going to erase all of the lines we don't need any longer, and there you have it. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial and for supporting my channel. I really appreciate it, and I hope you had a good time. Bye!